Today's video, we're going to talk about university or higher education or school PPC campaign strategy or advertising strategy that brings in hundreds of leads a month. Yes, hundreds. Okay, this isn't clickbait. I'm going to go through the exact strategy that we're using to do this right now as I make this video. Okay, so if you were struggling to get ads to work for your business or you're not getting enough leads, this is your answer. This is what you've been waiting for. I'm going to go in detail on how to set these campaigns up for yourself. And then if you stay to the end of the video, I'll also go over what kind of results they provide in terms of profit, cost per lead, closing rate on leads. So you know how well this is going to specifically net for your business at the end of the day as well. Now, I will admit there is a little variance city to city, school to school based upon what you're offering, but these are pretty close to the numbers that you should be able to get. So you absolutely do want to try what I'm telling you here, and we'll give you a general roundabout idea of what you can make. So before I get into the content though, if you do not know who I am Corey Zyman, owner of Guaranteed PPC, an online advertising agency that specializes in guaranteeing results for their clients. That is, we do not charge your clients management fees until we can get them a certain minimum lift in their profitability, basically in excess of the management fees that we charge. We are the only agency out there who offers any kind of similar guarantee, which should tell you something about the quality of the information on this video. So getting into the content here, what I've got here actually for you on this video is several strategies, of which I'm going to go through one by one, broken the strategies out into the main categories that could kind of basically categorize them into. That is, people looking for schools in general, people looking for specific programs or courses, and finally, people who are also looking for specific programs or courses that you target not on search engines. So YouTube, Facebook, that kind of thing. So I'll go through one by one what to do with each one of these to replicate the success we had on our end, and then of course the results we got thereof. So getting into the first one here, which is the local searches that we're going to target on search engines, Google and Microsoft is where you would want to run these ads. Microsoft being Bing.com, about 20% of the market's going to search there. If one keyword works on Google, it'll work on Microsoft. For that matter, the first thing you're going to always want to do to get as much value out of your market as possible is target competitor terms. So make a list of every school that competes with your school that has similar programs, degree programs, or course programs as your school within a 60-mile radius of your school. And so you could run individual competitor campaigns for each one of them. So if you have a welding school, there's another welding school within 60 miles, you're going to run an ad for when people type in that welding school on Google, and you're going to specifically say why you're better than that other welding school. Best welding school in the area, 112 reviews don't lie, or some variation of that is what we found works pretty well. But you could do other things. You could say, #1 welding school in Tampa as rated by XYZ magazine, which is another variant we've used before. Also, #1 welding school, which our users are getting the highest pay using our degree program. Something like that. You can go that route with it as well, which is pretty effective. I wouldn't necessarily go anything with price or value or anything like that. We've tried a little bit of that. It doesn't work the best. I mean, if you were the cheapest in the area, maybe that will work for you. But so far, we haven't got that to work. Anyway, so you're going to target those people with that kind of ad copy, and you're going to drive them to a custom landing page that has what you're offering there. So if you have a welding school, that's all you do, you may be able to get by with just sending them to the same landing page that you're using for your other stuff. Otherwise, if they're inquiring about an art school and you offer art and plumbing and whatever, you want to send them to the dedicated page for your art program. If you want to get the cost per lead that I'm talking about on this video, which your cost per lead on a campaign should be right around $40 a lead. And I know this is as an average. We've promoted and ran campaigns for universities as well as trade schools to boot. Okay, so that's about your average you can expect. Now from there, you also want to run ads on Google search and Bing search or Microsoft search for people typing in the general searches, trade schools, universities, and the like. So that you have an ad pop up and then indicating, within the same 60-mile radius of your college, that you have something available. With that said, okay, you are going to have to send them to a landing page as well in order to get the cost per lead I'm talking about here, which generally speaking, that landing page is going to show, if you aren't aware of it, people go, at least on a university level, they're going there for the chicks, they're going there for the nice views, the food, the nice looking dorms, whatever. You want to show as much of that stuff as possible. Not so much focus on what you're going to get in terms of education value, even though you can mention it's a prestigious school that a lot of people that is in demand by employers, go that route with it. And then on a trade school itself, or tech school, if you want to go that route with it, what you're going to do instead with that is just show what the inside of the classes look like, show some B-roll footage shots of what the class looks like, what in terms of what you're doing in the class, what kind of equipment that you're working with, that kind of thing. That's going to be impressive to the user, and show where you're located at geographically. And that's going to be your main premise of your landing page, what works, what we found works. Okay? So now targeting people looking for trade schools, universities, their cost per lead is going to be pretty high because they're not being very indicative of specifically what they want. And a lot of those people are not going to actually go with anybody at all. So you could be typing in, by the way, universities itself is kind of not even the best. I would target local universities, universities in city if you want to definitely get to where you can make money from these leads. But you're going to be getting, even then, $75 a lead. And you're going to be closing about 1 in 8 of those leads, which the competitor search leads, where they're typing in the competitor name, it should also be about 1 in 8 on average itself that are closing. So 8 leads come in, you're going to get 1 sign up, if you will. Which, by the way, as a small side, you want to absolutely track your lead closing rates because your intake admissions department is going to be notoriously bad about following up with leads. I actually just mentioned this on my very last video, how a lot of times people are calling the leads back. They get the form submissions they get once or twice, and that's not good enough. Once you get the lead, you got to keep following up until that person's made a decision on who they're going to go with when the admissions come that fall, that spring, whatever. So that is absolutely what you got to do. And then furthermore, if you are going to target more arbitrary terms like universities, like trade schools by itself, you're going to want to track whether the lead turns into a booking or not, and then plug that information about that event back into your ad account on Google and Bing or Microsoft so that the ads can steer in the general direction, at least for these more general campaigns, for what's producing bookings. What Google will ultimately do in that situation is take the traffic of people typing in universities within a 60-mile radius of your place. It'll sub-segment it out into the section that converts versus doesn't convert, give you the section that does convert, and get rid of the stuff that doesn't. And they can do that by looking at what that person searched in the past, who they are, individual traits about them individually as a person. So that is something you're going to absolutely want to do as well to make sure you're closing 1 out of 8 of these leads. On the regional side, going into the next tier of campaigns you run, this is actually where the real money is, at least short term, until you've had a lot of time to optimize your campaigns. It's people searching for specific degree programs. So people searching for art degree programs, art schools and the like. And what you're going to do is just basically make a list of every degree program that you have. And then you're going to run ads for each individually. So if they're looking for X-ray tech schools, you're going to run ads for all the X-ray tech keywords, X-ray tech programs, X-ray tech schools, X-ray tech classes, all of it. And you're going to drive them to a custom landing page for each course, which you may say, it's so much work to set up a course, a landing page for each program that we offer. Can't we just send them to one page? No, you cannot. This is liquid gold right here. You want every click you can. And then for that matter, why give up half or 2/3 of all your signups you're going to get by having one generic page for everybody? Because that's essentially what you're going to do to yourself. If you do it with custom landing pages, you'll get $20 a lead all day long, which is way cheaper than the traffic over here. And you're going to close about 1 in 5 of those leads. So it's going to be super profitable to do that. So you want every last one you can and spend more time doing this than you even before doing this. for that matter, as far as the ads go, you're going to want to have an ad like this. What I got here is showing headline 1, headline 2, headline 3. The first headline should be penned, and it should be the name of the program. So art program in, and then the name of the city. Specifically, I like to put the county, by the way, so that like if they're in Orange County, I'm not going to say the suburb within Orange County. I'm going to say Orange County as a whole. Or if I'm in LA, I'm not going to say Compton. I'm going to say in LA County. Art program in LA County. Why? Because if you say a certain city and it's far away from them, like 30 miles away, they're going to be less apt to click on it. Okay. Now, if they are in Compton and you're in Compton, then you would want your Compton to be specifically in the ad, not LA County. In that case, if you want to really wring out every last deal you can out of this, or sign up that you can out of this, you could have a separate campaign just for your city, and then a campaign for people that are not in your city, but within the 60-mile radius of your school. And then, if they're in the 60-mile radius one, they see the county name. If they're within your city, they see your city name on the ad. So that's on the first part of the headline. On the second headline, you're going to have begin career in XYZ number of months. Okay? And so if you're a university, it's going to be, 48 months. If it's a tech school, maybe it's 12 months or 24 months. That's what we found gets the highest click-through rates out of all the testing that we've done. Then your third headline is going to say day or night courses available if you're talking about a trade or tech school. If you're talking about a university here, I'm going to, instead of put that, I'm going to say now taking registrations for spring semester, something like that instead, if you will. Or I'm going to try to build trust there. If it's a prestigious school, I'm going to say best rated in XY University Magazine, or voted #1 school in Orange County, something like that. That may actually work better for you, specifically for a university. You can test it both ways. One sometimes will work better than the other. Depends on what market you're in. So with that said, that gives you your ad copy. And this is, again, where I would 100% focus my efforts on until I get every lead I can. Then I'm going to dip into this. Then I'm going to dip into this as my last thing, which I'm going to talk about this next here on how to run ads on Facebook, YouTube, on Gmail for your school. For people that are in market for a course program that you have at your school that you can easily get while they're on these other platforms itself as well. But before I do, if you ultimately want more tips like I'm giving you here, where I can actually specifically walk you through step-by-step how to set up these campaigns, landing pages, tracking systems that you ultimately need to follow this plan in detail, which you can search for on my channel homepage. You should subscribe to this channel because I'm going over on a consistent basis how to do this stuff. And I do it for clients on a regular basis to guarantee their results. And then I tell you for free on this channel how to do it for yourself. It's information coming straight from the source from somebody who actually does this on a daily basis. It is my full-time job, and I spend my weekends explaining what it is that we're doing at our firm to guarantee results for our clients, so you have it as well. And so most other channels, you're not going to get somebody who's actually doing ad strategies or full-time job talking to you, and therefore the information is not useful. And so if you want information straight from the source, and you're going to get it on this channel. So if you're serious about making money with ads, you want to subscribe to this channel. You also want to check out my blog on my site at guaranteedppc.com/blog. The blog has step-by-step information for myself on how to execute the strategies we know will guarantee results for our clients, and so you can use them as well. If you like the channel, you're going to like my blog as well, so you should check that out as well. If you have any questions about anything I'm going over here, maybe you have a certain school that you think maybe not will apply to your school or something like that, you can always let me know in the comment section. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or comment on this channel, usually within 24 hours time. Getting back to the content here. So once you've done all this, you're already certainly going to be getting 100 plus leads a month just from what I already gave you here, easily, in any kind of somewhat populated area. Now you could take this to several hundred leads a month if you nail this correctly. And the idea with display advertising is to say something that's going to be so outstanding, so lavish that people just absolutely want to click through and turn into a lead. what you have to do is so much more to get people to click on your ad than on a search engine, because on the search engine, they're already looking for what you have, which, ultimately, I want to even say, I didn't even talk about this, but once I do what I already mentioned on this video, if you want to actually expand what you're doing as well on search engines, you can even target people. Like if you have an art program, should I go to school for art? And you could target people that way. It's tough to do that. Generally speaking, I'm going to go with this strategy here first because it's going to be more productive. And that is, you interrupt people who are not, ultimately directly looking for a school, but they recently indicated that they were, which makes it better than people that are not quite sure if they want to go to a school yet. And so what you do is all these keywords you targeted here for all the different degree programs you have, art degree programs, art schools, all those keywords, you could create what is called a custom intent audience, targeting people with your demand gen campaigns and your YouTube campaigns, which get you on Gmail and YouTube exclusively, all the people who have recently searched for those searches, and so you can hit them with your own ad. And if they've recently searched for that, you may say, well, I would have got them with my search ad. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Only half or less of the people will click on your ad, no matter how good your ad is. So you can get a lot of the rest of them by routinely showing them other ads that follow them around, at least if they're on Gmail and YouTube, until they actually get within the fold of your organization. So what you're going to do is you're going to have an ad that basically, and this is what we did that we found works, make up to X per year as a X in city. So for example, make up to $100,000 per year as a art director in Tampa. Let's face it, out of all, doing the research, people go to college still to this day because they do it to make money. They think they're going to get a job, even though schools don't directly promote that. They should, because that's why they're going. And they want to know they're going to make a lot. And they want to know, there's a high probability that they're actually going to get a job. Another spin on this would be, if you were ultimately doing an art program, art directors are getting hired in mass in Tampa after graduating our art program. Would be another great way to go with this, which I can't get the clients that we have to go with this because they're like, well, that's not necessarily true, but if you could, that would work even better. But make up to XYZ amount. This is a tried and true, and I see other schools doing this here and there, and they know what's going on. They know what's cooking. You could do this, and you could drive them to your landing page that you created for your art school. So if they typed in art degree programs, they see this ad that says make up to $100,000 a year as an art director in Tampa. They get driven to the landing page that you set up for art degree program traffic to land on from a Google search ad. So it's just another way to get people that didn't click on your search ad essentially to get to your landing page and get more of that pie, if you will. And with this, so you'll create a different custom intent audience for each art program, because naturally this isn't going to be possible to have your ad customized for each user otherwise. You're going to run that and you're going to be paying right around $50 a lead in order to get these leads. And you're going to be closing not that many of them, but if you have a good sales process set up where you do really good follow-up, don't let, follow up 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 times. Good schools that make a lot of money, they know what I'm telling you here. They take leads and they beat them to death because that's what it takes to make a good return from those leads. But if you do this at your organization, you can get 1 in 12 of these type of leads, as what we found at least, to convert into an actual registration for you. With that said, that's a great addition to your search campaign here and here as well. And then if you've done all that, like I mentioned, go a bit further, I'm going to be targeting people on Google search asking, is art school a good idea? I'm going to have an ad that says, art school is a great idea because people are getting hired right out of school for $125,000 a year. And then that would be my headline on my ad. I'm going to have them click on that ad, drive them to what looks like a news article where it talks about high demand for art directors, and then a link to a school where everybody's actually going to school before they're getting hired, so to say. And that's your funnel in that case. That's a standard funnel that we use in not just a market like this, but in many other markets to monetize non-buying traffic on Google. That is people looking for information monetizing that information, because when they get to what looks like a news article, their guard is down and they're going to take what they see seriously, versus you saying, oh, it's a great idea. They don't believe what you say. And what you usually do is you set up a separate domain to have this news website, which its only purpose is to have you be able to have these landing pages for people searching for information on Google. And it's not really a whole news site. You have one web page that looks like a news article on that site, and if they click anywhere on it to go to another page, it just goes to the home page and it looks like the same article. Why? Because most people don't ever click on anything. They just read the article and then they click the link in the article that drives them to your actual website. If you wanted to get a bit fancier with it, you could, but basically speaking, you don't need to, for what we found time and time again at our firm. But that type of funnel will allow you to monetize and get even more bookings if you weren't already fully booked at your school for all the programs that you have, and if certain programs that need more students, how you would actually go the next most profitable thing you could do. For this space, we really haven't done it much because just with what I mentioned here, we're getting so many leads. The client doesn't need more. If we're going to do it, we're going to have that article and we're going to drive extra leads that way. Okay? So ultimately, I can tell you that's profitable because we do this in a dozen plus other niche markets as I speak here, because it's routine. If somebody's looking for an answer on Google, you provide them the answer, you drive them to an article, it's going to get, at least for markets where you're talking about health or money, it just basically works every time. So take it for what you want. With all that said, okay, if you want somebody that can set this up for you, I mean, we can do it for you at our agency and then not even charge you until we get you a certain minimum result in terms of leads and profit. Or you could buy our templates from us and you customize the templates we use in a different city or country and use it for yourself. We offer both. We've worked in, like I mentioned earlier, several schools. We've worked with several schools at the university level, but also at the trade school level. And so we have templates for both. Similarly to that, I also offer coaching and consulting to individuals as well. So if you just have a question about your current setup that you want to know about, such as, or you're stuck where you're at in terms of the number of leads that you're generating, or the leads aren't closing at the right rate, you want better quality leads, you can't scale as much as what you want, whatever you need, let me know. And in a 30-minute coaching session, I can put you on the right track again with what you're doing. Not only because I have niche experience here, but also because I've worked on hundreds of accounts. And this is all I do is just run ads. Okay, and manage dozens of accounts at any given time to be abreast of all the latest stuff that works and doesn't work. So if you like that, you can let me know. And I'm really well trained on not just looking at ads, but landing pages, sales processes, all that, to see where the bottleneck in your business is that's stopping your ads from actually getting better, given a lot of people just like to assume the ads are the issue when really you've got a bigger issue on the website or something like that. If you're interested in that, you can also reach out to me at guaranteeppc.com. That goes over the main process that we're using at our agency to generate leads and make a lot of money with the clients that we have in the education space, higher ed / university / trade school space, and how to do it. So beyond that, just as a small side, I'm also working with companies, schools, e-commerce companies where we're investing in companies. We're investing an infusion of ad spend, cash for ad spend, and also agency services in the companies in exchange for part ownership of the company. So between 1% and 10% of the company, and then taking a percent of the increase in growth of the sales of that company in exchange for our investment. We've done this with several organizations now, all of which are doing extremely well, which we have references. We've never failed at doing this. And we can grow your organization 10 times what it is now through our partnership. If you're interested in potentially working with us in this way, let me know. You can reach out to me at our agency as well. We're taking applications and looking at different companies to additionally invest into at this time. With that said, I'll wrap everything up with that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Remember when I said custom landing page as was important during this video? Well, this video here tells you how to do it.